Change into a person I don't wanna be, so oh, it's
Thursday.
I pray for the wicked on the weekend. Mama, can I get another amen?
Thursday.
I swear to God, I ain't never gonna repent.
Hello and welcome to week 8. This week the Vikings are hosting the Redskins on Thursday night, so no, don't freak out. It's not Sunday. You're not seeing this early. This is right on time. However, because it's a super short week, I didn't really have time to line up a guest. Much to the detriment of my production value, it's going to just be me this week, which I guess means more beer for me, so kind of a pro and a con there. But please stay tuned to the end of the episode. Because it's a weeknight, I figured maybe Game Day Jake would be required to come in and fire some of you up, drive you through all the way to the end of your workday, and get you ready for the primetime game tonight. Now, this week's beer is kind of an interesting treat. I'm trying to line up some kind of fancier, harder to get beers, but as a man of the people, I also want to bring you something that you know. So when I was out looking, I found this. A Keeper Movin' beer from Ale Asylum. It's a light lager, which is good because it's a weeknight. Some of us have school or work work in the morning, and you don't want to hit anything too heavy on a night when you have to go back into work the next day. It's a collaboration between Charlie Barron's and Ale Asylum in Madison, Wisconsin. Dare guy. A light lager so you can keep her moving. I hope this was the best beer of your life. Now, Charlie Barron's, besides being incredibly funny and a very snappy dresser, is in some part to blame for me having this ridiculous video series. The other party to blame, of course, is society for allowing white men like me to continue thinking that we all need to have our own podcasts. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's crack this thing open and see how it tastes. Oh yeah, that's a light lager indeed there, guy. Yeah, you can see right through it. Huh? How about that? I can tell this is going to be a crisp one. Skull, feel it there. Oh yeah, that's back in my sweet spot there. That's a nice light beer. That's something that goes down real smooth, real easy. Honestly, very easy to put a sixer of these down before the game. I'm sorry, that's probably copyright infringement. Anyway, this is an excellent beer. Not a lot of flavor to it. I mean, it's not watered down. It's not a Coors. It is flavorful, but compared to some of the the real heavy stuff I've been drinking, this is nice, super refreshing. Somehow seems even colder than a heavier beer at the same temperature. This is excellent and exactly what I needed at the end of a Thursday night. Crisp. I want to say citrusy. I think it gets overused, but there is some of that little tiny bit of sweetness in there. I wouldn't call it a citrus beer by any means, unless it says so on the can, in which case I will totally take that back. But I don't see it. So, thank you, Ale Asylum, and thank you, Charlie Barron's, for the beer, for the inspiration, and for the laughs. You are a hero. On to the game. The 5-2 Vikings are hosting the 1-5 Washington Redskins, whose only win came on a last-second missed two-point conversion by the point-shaving Miami Dolphins. And that's just the beginning. I'm convinced the Vikings are better than Washington in every statistical category. I haven't looked it up, but I can't imagine there's anything that the Redskins are better than the Vikings at this point in time. Of course, Washington is the team that burned Kirk Cousins for so many seasons, insulting him, abusing him, refusing to sign him to a contract, which eventually drove him into the Vikings' arms to the tune of $84 million. There's a ton of revenge narratives in this game. The revenge narrative is a real thing in most of the NFL. It's not a guaranteed thing, but fairly often you see players face off against previous teams they've played for and have bigger than usual games. I'm concerned because Kirk Cousins seems to get in his own head in prime time against winning teams, and maybe he feels he has something to prove and comes out and struggles against Washington. But he's not the only revenge narrative in tonight's game, as both Case Keenum and Adrian Peterson are returning home, I think both for the second time since they left the Vikings. Back to Kirk imploding with the challenge of facing off against his previous employer. Luckily, the Vikings have demonstrated an ability to feed the ball to Dalvin Cook, either via the run or via short yardage, high completion percentage targets, and allowing Dalvin Cook to make something out of nothing. Several times against the Lions, he had what looked like a surefire tackle for loss and turned it into big gains. Cousins' other safety blanket, Thielen, is out for tonight with a hamstring injury, but we're hoping to get him back soon. So I'm expecting a bigger night than usual from Diggs, obviously, but also up-and-coming rookies B.C. Johnson and Irv Smith Jr., who had their biggest games of the year last week after Thielen went out. I'm really curious to see the stat line at the end of the game because Washington is most generous in all defensive statistical categories. On the one hand, I think the Vikings could very easily feed the ball to Cook and Madison and just run the ball, run the game out, and trample Washington. But I also think, they're very generous in the passing game. Is Cousins going to have a, 3 for 350 and 3 kind of night? I'm really curious. Last week, the Vikings showed some serious cojones by throwing the deep ball to Diggs in the final seconds of the game instead of trying to grind the clock out. Okay. I know this is a much masticated topic, but it bears some discussion. Cousins, this year, leads the league in yards per attempt and passer rating. Those are both very good stats to be the best in, but he also ranks near the bottom of the league in sacks and quarterback hit rate, which are very bad stats. He's also a comfortable 8-3 at home in his career with the Vikings. He's also very good against teams without winning records, and hey, will you look at that? The Redskins don't have a winning record. I was about to state my opinion that I don't think Cousins is a top 10 quarterback, all the praise he's getting all of a sudden because we've strung together some wins against bad defenses. But then I pulled up a list of all the quarterbacks in the NFL, and while I can't put him in the top 10, I can only find maybe 11 or 12 quarterbacks I'd want more than Cousins. There's a bunch that I think are probably in his tier, but honestly, at this point, I can only really covet 11 other teams' quarterbacks. However, he's 31 years old, and after this many years in the league, after this many years of seeing him come up short in big games and struggle against winning opponents and struggle in primetime games, I don't think all of a sudden he's put it together and now he's going to get us to the promised land. And honestly, I don't hear many Vikings fans saying that. It's more of a national media issue. But everyone taking their victory laps, like saying, oh, I told you Cousins wasn't that bad. I don't think all of a sudden he's changed. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe like this, Gary Kubiak, Kevin Stefanski offense just clicks for him and it makes sense and it works and we've got the talent around him and he's going to have a long career here. I hope that's the case. I hope we got him on his upswing. But at 31 years old, I guess I just don't think he's, learned any new tricks. The teams he's beaten, the Falcons at 1-6, the Raiders are 3-3, the Giants are 2-5, the Eagles are 3-4, and the Lions are 2-3-1. I'm not saying he's atrocious. I'm just saying everyone needs to cool it with the 1998 team comparisons. Although, truth be told, there are several offensive statistics that the Vikings have in their favor that they haven't seen since 1998. But let's pump the brakes. We should see the Vikings beat Washington tonight. And we could see them beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead next week if they are indeed without Mahomes. And the Chiefs have proven themselves vulnerable when they're facing off against teams with a strong running game, which, hey, the Vikings have. If they split their next 2 games with the Cowboys and the Broncos, they'd be heading into their Week 12 bye with an 8-3 record, staring down a final stretch of games, not in order, at the Seahawks, at the Chargers, and then 3 games with the Lions, Packers, and Bears all coming to the Vikings Stadium. I don't think they beat Seattle in Seattle. They could beat the Chargers in LA, but that would be a battle of 2 teams who seem to find ways to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. So it could be a very interesting game, as it will appear that both teams are trying to find a creative way to lose to each other. Then let's just be optimistic and say the Vikings get 2 out of 3 against their division opponents at home. They'd be finishing the season with an 11-5 record, racing a surging Green Bay team, a floundering Bears team, and a hot and cold Lions team. But enough of looking at the future. Tonight the Vikings are 16-point favorites at home. Of course, the last time they were favored by anywhere near this many points, they got dismantled in a Week 3 shellacking at the hands of the Buffalo Bills, so if they do find a way to lose, I may be filming live on location in front of a burning dumpster just for the thematic cohesion. Either way, we're halfway through the season tonight, and we're in for one hell of a ride. Thank you once again, and to all of you for watching. I just always want you guys to know that I don't take this for granted at all. I will try to keep bringing the heat. Skål fileter. Go Vikings. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to get you fired up on a weeknight for a game featuring your Minnesota Vikings, here is Game Day Jake. Oh, will you look at the time? It's time, Minnesota. It's time to close your laptops, take off your tool belts, and either settle into your Vikings den or head out to your favorite watering skull. Trademarked. Yeah. I'm going to put on my sunglasses for a night game. You know why? Because the Vikings prospects in this game are so bright. It's time, Minnesota. It's time to consider your standing in the company and if you have enough time off to make it a 3-day weekend. If so, you're lucky. Fill that drinking horn to the tippy top. If you're more like me, let's just be prepared to be a little sleepy tomorrow morning. Now, if the Vikings find a way to blow this game, of course, it's going to be the land of 10,000 headaches come sunrise. Win or lose, an evening that would have been typically colored is about to be painted primetime purple. We've worked hard for 4 days. Let's go watch the Vikings go to work against this dreadful Washington team. It's game time, Minnesota. It's prime time. Skål Vikes.
I could be better, but baby, oh, it's
Thursday.
I pray for the wicked on the weekend. Mama, can I get another amen? It's
Thursday.
swear to God, I ain't never gonna repent. Mama, can I get another amen?
Thursday. It's Thursday. It's Thursday. It's Thursday. Thursday.